My name is Piyali Dey, and as I said, I'm beyond excited to be here. This is a topic that is, very near and dear to me. I have walked this experience end to end myself, and as most of you, I am also a software engineer. Actually, I was a software engineer for 5-6 years before I moved to product, and personal branding played a huge role in that career change. So I will tell you all about that. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how can you get started, and some real life examples, like what does it actually mean for you. All right, so okay, let me turn off the video for a while. Yeah, and please use the chat window. I really want to make this very interactive. It shouldn't be like a super boring just one to many lecture. So ask questions, ask comments. I can't see the chat window right now, but I will get to it time to time and address all those topics. All right, okay, so let's get started. So I'm hoping that in the next 40-45 minutes, I can really convince all of you that why you need to brand yourself. Even if you are in engineering field or a non-engineering field, it doesn't really matter. So especially for engineers, like when I started this journey, in the engineering world, it was not a very popular thing, like because I was searching for resources, I was looking to meet people who have done this, and I really had to struggle because the engineers, like I was comfortable sitting at my desk doing the best coding I knew how to do and getting paid. That's what I was doing. But then back in, I would say like 2017, I felt like I was a senior engineer at that point, but I felt like something was missing in my career, because I always loved public speaking. I always loved to teach people on stuff, but I was not getting that much of attention or that much of visibility. So I started doing that research, and I was trying to figure out what else I can do on top of my regular day-to-day job that kind of like can bring me at the forefront of attention, and I can, get into all of these opportunities. And that's where actually my journey began to, look into it and to research what personal branding is and build one for myself. So in this presentation today, so my hope is that I can lay out some tactical advice to you, not so much as a theory, but kind of like, 1, 2, 3 step-by-step process. I can, break them down for you, because the personal branding as a whole can get a little bit overwhelming at points. So at least you can get something out of this presentation today that you can go home and just start implementing it. So a little bit about me and my background. So I was born and raised in India. I am a first generation immigrant. So my parents, they still live back in India. I moved to US first to complete my graduate school. I did my master's in computer science from North Carolina State. I worked in a bunch of, small companies, enterprise companies, both in Silicon Valley and East Coast, like New York. And then I moved to Vancouver in 2018. So spent several years in software engineering, product management, customer success before I joined Microsoft, and currently I'm a product manager. I also volunteer in a lot of things that are very close to my heart. For example, IEEE Women in Engineering, Grace Hopper Conference, Women Who Code, and Product VC, which is a local nonprofit to help people, to learn more about what product management is. I am a public speaker, as I said, so I have traveled in a lot of cool places to talk about diversity and, teach people how to code, talk about product management, and share my passion like this, like, online, building online presence, all around the world. I do have my own podcast series, so there is a link here. If you want to learn more about, product management, how to get started, feel free to listen. I'm super happy if you give me some feedback there. So I would absolutely love to, know a little bit of you. So I have a few very simple questions. I know we are not in a room, in person, but if you could use the chat window and let me know, some of this, just spit out some words, that will be great so that I know all of you as well. Oh, hello, speaker. What is your good name? My name is Piyali Dey. Sorry, did I not tell you that? Oh, my bad. So my name is Piyali. And okay, so what is your current profession? So are you guys already in software engineering, or are you trying to break into it? Oh, hi, Varsha. Yes, I know you. Cloud consultant. That's awesome. Software engineer, software developer. Okay, awesome. And how long have you been in this role? Like, have you just started or starting a senior level position? Oh, Sarah, congratulations. That's great. So how long have you been coding? Like, how long have you been in programming and software engineering role? 13, 14 years. So 6, 5, 4, 1.5, close to 4. Yeah. About 6 years. Wow, that's amazing. 3 years. Okay, so you guys are in that perfect spot to figure out the next step and how personal branding can help you. So what does personal branding mean to you? Like when you think about this phrase, what actually pops up? Like what is that one word that pops up in your head? Anything? Reputation. That's yeah. Online presence, style of working, signature style. Yeah. Showing your expertise. Wow, all great answers. Yep. From your design days. That's true. Yeah, okay, you guys are like 50% there. Personal branding actually is all of this. Present yourself exclusively. Exactly. Great. Okay. So why do you think you need to learn about personal branding? Like my objective to ask this question is, what is your exact motivation to be here today? Like, do you want to go to that next stage? Are you looking for a promotion, or are you want to venture out in some other verticals? Like, what is your that motivation that you are looking for? Build a network. Yeah. Okay. Create your own brand. That's true. Yeah. So how do you think it will help you, to go to that, want to work with big brands? That's right. Get a, yeah, stand out. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, great answers. Great answers. Thank you. This is true. Like for big companies like Microsoft, I can tell from experience, for each and every open role, we get thousands, not not even like 1, 2 thousands. We get like 10, 15 thousands of resumes for one open position. So, we need something to filter them out. Like, who has time to read through all 10, 15,000 resumes, right? And personal branding plays a very big role here, and I'll tell you how. So, people often talk about wanting to improve their personal brand, right? Now you already know what a business brand is. Like when you talk about a business brand like Lululemon, we immediately think of an image of athleisure, like a person is wearing like cool sweatshirts or stuff like that. So we know what a business brand is, but you probably don't think that much of having your own brand, right? We don't think about it's not very intuitive for us. So the idea of personal branding is actually unusual to most people. I have had chats with many folks over the years and talking about this topic, and like a lot of people actually heard about it for the first time. Like, what is that? Like, what is a personal brand? The thing is, in this online era, when we have like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, both good and bad, everything we put there, they last forever, right? So personal branding is more important than ever right now, because whatever you write, whatever you do right now, that's your brand. So have you ever wondered like why certain individuals in your field, they rise out of nowhere to, like give talks at all these prominent conferences. They are getting all the attention. They are being invited to deliver keynotes. And if you run stuff like, your own consultancy business, they are actually attracting the best clients. So that was my question when I started as well. Like, who are these people? Like, do they have like 4 ears and 6 eyes? Like, what is so special about them? Like, are they just smarter than me, or they have some magic that I just don't know, I'm missing out on. So a few years ago, there was a research project. I don't have the link handy, but I'll share it with you later, where an organization actually studied thousands of experts in their fields, like they were the prominent leaders in their field, to figure out why they were so successful and what did they do to develop that kind of expertise. And the secret, which is not really a secret at this point, was that most of those experts were not much different than rest of us. In fact, many of them actually admitted that they are not the smartest person in the room or the most knowledgeable person on that topic. But they did something that we didn't do. And that was they built their personal brand. So, from there, from that story, you can kind of get like the overall umbrella of what personal branding is. So basically, your personal brand is how you promote yourself. To like talk to you about like the very in a bare bone language, that if you Google your name, XYZ or Piyali Dey, the things that come up on your browser, that's your brand. So you can think of it as a unique combination of your skill, of your experience, your personality that you want the world to see you. It is the telling of your story and how it reflects your behavior and your attitude. So you use your personal brand to differentiate yourself from other people. And most of you actually told me about all of this in the chat window already. So it gives you the opportunity to highlight your strength, your passions. It helps you, it actually helps the audience, like the other people, believe that they know you better. And people have much higher trust in those they feel they know, right? So you have to connect somehow. You can either ignore your personal brand or let it develop organically, possibly chaotically, beyond your control. So people will actually create the brand for you if you don't do it yourself. So it's always better to control the storytelling that is going out on the internet before, something weird comes up when they search your name. So in the pre-internet days, think of it this way, that your personal brand was really just your business card, right? You carried a bunch of business card to conferences, to other office meetings or something like that. You will hand one of your business cards to somebody, and that is your brand. But right now, everything is connected. Social media is everywhere. You are actually far less anonymous than you think. Even if you don't do anything, you just push codes in your GitHub, trust me, you already have a brand there. You are just not aware of it. So one of the other things I wanted to highlight in this slide is you have to avoid faking your image at any cost while you are building your brand. If you create a fake image, if you project a fake image of yourself on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, it's extremely hard to maintain that image because you are not exactly that person. And people notice the difference right away when you meet them in person. So this is a big no when you are trying to create your brand from scratch. So if it is not you, it doesn't solve any of your purpose. So I'll give you an example, right? Think of the world of politics. Now, we know that when it comes to voting, sometimes there are people who will consider things like the candidate's view in the world, like is it doing any good for our nation and stuff like that. But most of the time, people actually vote those person they know, like they're familiar, somehow they can connect. Those are the most popular person to get most of the votes, right? So it comes to no surprise that candidates with strong personal brands actually succeed in politics, regardless of their political views or belief. Let's take a technical example, right? We are all engineers in this room. So Steve Jobs, we all know Steve Jobs. He, like maybe like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, he built a brand for yourself, which is what? Perfection. So when we buy an iPhone today or Mac today, we feel proud of owning it, most of us, right? Because we know that we got this thing, which is usually like twice the price of maybe like a similar capacity laptop or phone, but we just know it's Apple. It's Apple means it's perfect. So even in your subconscious mind, if you own an Apple product, you think of Steve Jobs and it is perfect. So that's the brand he built, right? So when you do it right, this list is obviously not exhaustive. There are so many things that can happen to you, but these are like obviously better job opportunities. If you do it right and if you do it enough, most of the time you don't even have to apply to a job. The recruiters will reach out to you. The recruiters will tell you, hey, we have been following you. We know your journey. We know your expertise. And we think this role will be perfect to you. And how I know this? Because this happened to me. I didn't apply for Microsoft. Microsoft reached out to me because I was consistently building my brand over LinkedIn for a couple of years and very targeted. And I'll again explain everything to you later. Second point is successful career change. If you want to move from engineering to product, from engineering to maybe like from IC role to management, like a people management role, everywhere when you make a change, your brand comes with you, and that's your identification. Networking of like-minded people. When you build your brand, usually people who have the same beliefs will come to you. You build network, you build friendships that way. And those relationships last way longer than a typical, like a LinkedIn message exchange, because it is based on the same belief and same true image of ourselves. More visibility, obviously more confidence when you start getting invited to talk about your stuff with a bunch of students from a university, with the junior employees in your company. It starts building confidence. So at no point of time we will know everything about anything, but if you build your brand right, it will definitely put you in that level of like expert folks. Then what not to do? Again, the first point I've already explained, faking it or not being authentic. Definitely don't talk about stuff you don't know. Don't participate in a conversation you are not comfortable about. So don't build your brand on the basis of a fake image of yours. Not engaging in a conversation is another mistake. If you find a conversation that is true to you and you truly care about that, always participate. Like, I cannot tell you how many engineers came up to me and said that I don't feel like posting anything. I don't feel like talking to anyone. Because we read a lot, but we hardly participate. But remember, participating is basically equivalent to speaking out in a room, like in the, maybe like a pre-COVID world or something. So always engage, always engage. Reducing visibility. If you are thinking about just LinkedIn, most of the time that's okay. But why don't you think about the Twitter world as well? You will be surprised how many amazing developers are like extremely active on Twitter. So why don't you just start following them? When they share a resources, read and comment back. Let them know that you have read it. Now you might say that they don't have time to read my comments. Like what? Like why bother? But if you write enough comments, 10 or 12, they'll be like, this person is very persistent. And they'll be like, okay, what more do you want to know? And you build a connection right there. Not being confident and clear. Again, as I said, that don't participate in something you are not confident or clear about and you are just blabbering on the social media, right? That hurts your brand. You talk only when you bring information and value to the table, and lacking relevancy. So these are like the top 5 things that you need to remember not to do. So now that you kind of understand what personal brand is, why it's important, let's get into the segment 2, which is like some of the considerations when you start building your brand. Creating a personal brand requires extensive self-reflection and introspection because it's built on your true self, right? I cannot emphasize this enough, that you have to be very true to yourself before you do anything online. And if it helps if you know yourself, which surprisingly few people do. I did not know when I started. I thought I knew what I want, but when I started going into exercises, I'll show you one of the exercises later, but there are some exercises that will kind of like push you to think in the same, the right direction. Most people actually find it extremely difficult to describe themselves, although they often find it easier to explain how they want to be. So we are very good at explaining our future, but not that much. If I have to explain right now, my present, like what I'm doing today, what are my strengths and weakness. If one of your aim for personal branding is to get a better job or to crack a big company, that's why I asked you those questions in the beginning, that what is your motivation? You first need to ensure that you know who your target employers are. Like, are you targeting enterprises, big enterprises like Google, Microsoft, or you want to join like a startups maybe? And then even in the startup, do you want to join like a really early stage or a middle stage? Like, you really have to know what's your target audience is, because your brand will be very targeted to that particular audience. A crucial part of your personal branding is to make sure you come across as being human with the same issues and problems as your target market, right? The only difference is that you can show that you have found a solution to some of these problems, which you are willing to share with others. So somehow you have to resonate with your audience to kind of make sure that that's the right target market for you and you are the right fit for them. Now, you cannot ignore the importance of social media. And as I said, that part of building a personal brand include having social media accounts on all the social networks that are relevant for you. And since most of our engineers, it will be LinkedIn and Twitter for us. So yeah. Now, this is a very interesting slide. So the right side, the diagram here, it's from a research study again, and they did some research on the most popular tools that an expert like someone who is expert at personal branding use. So this is a point scale. So 1 means it's least impactful, 10 means it's most impactful. And now from the score, like 8.01, 7.28, you can kind of guess that what are some of those avenues that are like most impactful for you. Obviously, writing a book is not for everybody, right? Like we cannot write a book overnight. So forget the first one. Although you will see many of these prominent personalities in our world, everybody write a book. Have you seen that pattern? Like everybody will write a book. They will go on like, book tour and stuff like that. Why? Because they also know about this research data that it's the top most impactful way you can make an impact in your audience. But forget about that for the sake of our audience, and then move along. Like the rest of the stuff will be super relevant for us. Like for example, the public speaking engagements, right? The best known experts speak frequently to small groups, large groups, your peer. It doesn't really matter, but you just have to keep talking about your expertise. It includes your prospective clients, your industry peers, or maybe your target employers. Then come to websites, both, your business site, your personal website, it's on the list. So not all visible experts have personal websites, but many of them do. But actually these days I am seeing that people use their LinkedIn as kind of like, personal website. And these individuals tend to write frequently, writing blog posts, articles, monthly columns. And for us, I would highly recommend you get started with a LinkedIn, maybe like a LinkedIn article or a LinkedIn post, and do it in a consistently basis. Like don't post like, 2 posts and then you vanish for a year. That doesn't build your brand. So if you just come up with a frequency that you can sustain and start building that way. Writing on these social media platforms have a huge impact, huge impact. So again, don't forget the offline world. Your personal brand needs to encompass all the places where your employers could encounter you, right? So when you go to a big top tier conference and you see your employers, obviously you are not carrying the printout of your website or your LinkedIn page, right? You carry your business card like the good old days. So the business cards are extremely crucial as well to build your brand. Just remember to keep your theme consistent on everything. So the person that one can see on the business card should be the same person. They can go back home and search online and find the same profile on LinkedIn. So make sure all information, the messaging, everything is, very consistent. So now some tactics, some, technical advice on how you can start thinking about it. But before I jump in there, is there any burning question that, okay, 6 eyes, true. Did Microsoft reach out to you specifically for PM roles or ST roles? Did you have to convince them to switch to PM role? I would love to hear about how I should target to be. So Varsha, this is a great question. So they reached out to me to become a PM, but that's, let me take that question at the end of the presentation if we have time, because that's a very, targeted question, like building my PM skills. But just one line answer would be, when I built my personal brand, I was actually targeting to all the PM company, like product companies, because my next step in my career in my mind was become a product manager. So that's how I built my brand. But the specifics of it, I'll address it at the end of it. So how to start building your brand, right? Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, okay. So the first step, so this is kind of like, think of it as a step-by-step process. Some exercises for you, some thought exercises. You don't have to do everything, right on the call right now, but you can take this exercise, with you, and maybe like you can sit down after dinner for 30 minutes or 1 hour, just think about it, right? So the first thing would be to determine like who you are, like where you are today, figuring out your area of expertise. Now, your area of expertise cannot be software engineering. Software engineering is a extremely wide field, right? You cannot build a brand that target all kind of software engineers. So if your specialty is in mobile, then the mobile engineers. If your specialty is backend or web, or so you have to very thoughtfully craft like what your expertise is. Who is in your audience? Like, what are some of those companies that you are targeting to? Is it enterprise? Is it startups? And what are some of the tools that you are going to use? So we have, I have a separate slide on talking about tools that you can use, but these are some of the things. It's kind of like the ingredients before you start cooking, right? So you have to start thinking about it. So because identifying your audience is an extremely crucial step. Like, who should reach out to you with a possible job opportunities? Who should reach out to you for a connection request? What are they exactly looking for, right? The answers to these questions will be the people for whom you craft every blog post, every talk, every book, every webinar. You get the point. So when writing, always keep your target audience in mind. Like, you have to be very intentional about who is going to read your post and what are they think about it, right? Next is skill. So develop a prioritized list of these skills and try to figure out which you can work alone and where you need help. Not all of us know everything, and that's completely fine. Asking for help is another big thing that you can do to start building your personal brand. Are you a good writer? Like, I am telling you 100 times that you have to write a LinkedIn post, but are you a good writer? If you are not, you have to be very true to yourself. If you feel uncomfortable doing it, ask for help. Like, who can kind of proofread your blog post or your LinkedIn article before it goes live? So you have to figure out all those moving pieces beforehand before you go dive into building your brand. And that kind of brings me to the next slide, which is who is going to help you. Who are those peer mentors or guides who can kind of walk the path with you and ask for help? Because if you don't know them beforehand, you are going to stumble in the middle of the process, and that is like not an ideal thing to happen, right? So if you like, for me, when I did the exercise, I actually made 2 columns. On the left column, I listed out the skills that I knew I'm super confident about. Like, I knew that I'm really good at it. And on the right column, I'm like, I'm not so good at it. And that from the right column, I actually broke down, I actually looked in my connections, my list of mentors, that who can teach me each of those things. And I kind of picked up those skills as I went through the process. So that is your phase 1, right? So getting together all the ingredients before you start cooking. And this is your infrastructure. You have to get the oven, you have to get, like the ladles and, all kinds of stuff before you start cooking. So the first one is actually like create a media kit. So for the media kit, I would put all my emphasis on hiring a professional photographer. At Microsoft, when we try to hire an employee, we usually look up their LinkedIn profile. Like, that's the first thing we do. And you will be very surprised what kind of weird photos we come across. Like, in LinkedIn, I remember there was one applicant, everything looked so all right about that person, but the LinkedIn photo was that person is chilling on the beach. And then the hiring manager was so confused, like, does it look professional to you guys? And we had to brainstorm that, is it the right candidate for us? So hire a professional photographer for a professional headshot. It shouldn't be your high school photo. It should be exactly how you look today. So collect all the video reel of public speaking, presentation decks. Just start collecting all the resource materials, right? And then, put them together. Like, create a Google Drive folder and just put everything together. And then the bio and website. So add credibility boosting features to your bio, such as articles you have written, speeches you have delivered, accolades you have won, anything that might convince a reader that you are the real deal, right? Blog. Set up a personal blogging platform. Invest in resources, if necessary, to configure your blog platform in the best possible way. If you are not a web person, just hire someone who knows the stuff, figure out your SEO, figure out, so that any person who search your name on the Google, your blog must be like one of the top links that pop up. Social media profile. Right now, if all you do is to build your LinkedIn profile, you will be fine. LinkedIn is by far the most important social platform for professional experts like us. But be sure to complete your profile in full, and then look around for active groups you can join. And then again, going back to my previous slides, be a part of that conversation. And once you get a handle on LinkedIn, move to Twitter and do the same thing. Find the people you want to follow, find the people you want to engage, and don't just do chit chat and stuff like that. Provide value. Bring your best self to the social media. And phase 3 is obviously finally start cooking. Now you have the ingredients, you have the utensils, you have to start cooking. And this is not an overnight thing. You have to set aside time each day to work on the skills you are not good at. Remember the right column? So the most effective way is to make a habit of it. So when I was doing it, I will sit down with that column and my exercises for 1 hour every day after dinner. So you have to make it a part of routine. It is never forget that this is a commitment. This is not a hobby. So it's okay to devote your part of workday to it as well. So don't feel guilty that I'm being paid to do something, but I'm spending all my time in LinkedIn profile. It's not like that. It's not something you are watching YouTube or stuff like that, right? It's actually building your brand will eventually help the company as well. So yeah, be very consistent with this exercise. And finally, phase 4 is time to launch. So when you have the food, now you have to start inviting your guests to taste and let you know how they feel. So read over your plan, start implementing it. And again, it will be slow going at first, which is completely okay. You will write a post and then you will forget about it for 1 month, or because some personal thing came up, that's okay. But as long as you remember where to go back, you go back your starting point. So you have got the strategy. Now you start putting it into a play. So this is a very fun exercise. So, I talked a lot about how to build, but I also wanted you guys to kind of take maybe 5-10 minutes and do a very short exercise with me. So there are amazing amount of exercises. So I will share a PDF with you. That's a workbook from PwC. I absolutely love that workbook, and that's the one I followed when I started building my brand. So this is an exercise, from that workbook. But I think if we do it together, you will kind of get a hang of it, like how to think about it. So here are some questions that I'm going to ask. Take a minute, be true to yourself. Think about, if you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's okay too. But I just want you to start thinking in the right way. And if you feel comfortable, just shout it out in the chat window. Because the goal of this exercise is basically to figure out your top 4 or 5 skill set. Now, so the more we kind of dig deeper into it, we'll be able to kind of figure out those words, figure out those strengths easily. So the first question is, what are the strengths that others acknowledge in me? Right? So basically, when you talk to someone, or your friends, or your parents, your mentors, or your boss at work, there should be something they keep acknowledging about you over the years. Like, it's somewhere in your subconscious mind, that what are the strengths that others acknowledge in you? That's my animation worked very poorly, so the second question popped up as well, but forget the second one. I'm just asking the first one. So what are the strengths that others acknowledge in you? So I'm gonna open my chat window. Just be honest and just growth mindset, empathetic, authentic. Awesome. Anyone else? Thanks, Ali. Good with people, public speaking, great. Strong executor. Patient, organized. Nice. Nice. Networking. Problem solver, catalyst. Awesome. So like when this talk ends and you sit down with a notebook, just list down these 5 things, 7 things, whatever comes to your mind that you keep hearing people talk about it, right? That is your list one. That's basically where you are starting. The second question was, when working on a team, what type of role do you seek to fill? Because we always have a tendency to choose a position in a team that we feel most comfortable about. Like some people who don't want to talk to their leads too much, they will take the back seat. Hey, just leave me alone, let me do my job. And some folks are like extremely enthusiastic. They want to be in every meeting, they want to voice opinion, take the front row seat. So what kind of role do you seek to fulfill? Like maybe subconsciously, what are those things? Like, do you want to be more on a leadership role? Okay, so you know where you want to go. Team player, love to collaborate. And if you are not a team player, that's okay too. You don't have to write about it here if you don't feel comfortable, but just know yourself that, okay, I'm not really a front row person. I don't want to talk too much. I just want to be in my own cave and get the stuff done. That's perfect as well. But just be honest. Like if you want to work that way, don't try to build a profile that screams that you want to be a public speaker, because that's not the place you're going to succeed, right? Facilitate, unblock people, mentoring. Yeah, awesome. So here is my next question to think about. What was the most successful project that you have ever tackled, and what made you successful? What do you think? Why do you think you were successful in that particular staff? What made you successful? Was it like you working extremely hard, putting in all the off hours, or maybe it was you were creative and you found out a different way to solve the problem? What was that one thing that you think it made you successful? It's great that you are taking the time to think. It's supposed to be that way. Perseverance, believing in myself. Oh, I love this answer. You are no less than your peers. Thanks, Vaishnavi. Especially for women, we sometimes suffer from this imposter syndrome. And so this is a great thing to remind ourselves that we are no less. Worked almost 14 hours a day. So hard work. Yeah. Oh, Prime Minister. Wow, that's cool. 360-degree feedback. Yes, asking for feedback, asking for help. You undermine yourself. That's why you are here, Vaishnavi. That's good. Made me more confident about myself. True. Yeah. So again, like when you think about these questions, sitting alone in a room, you will figure out so many aspects of your personality that, like, if I check your LinkedIn profile today, ask yourself, like, if I do not know you personally, right? Most of you. So if I go to your LinkedIn, do these things pop out to me? Like if I am an employer, do I like, would I know that you are like a super hard worker? You put in 14 hours a day. You asked for feedback. You asked for help when you stuck. Are these in any of your profile? If the answer is no, then no, you are not doing it right. You are not putting the best of you out there, right? The next question, what strengths and skills came up about you repeatedly? Why should anyone else? Yeah. Never undervalue yourself. So any strengths and skills that you think, that come up repeatedly, very frequently, people talk about it, you know about it, just like kind of like define you, collaboration and networking for you, Varsha. Okay. Yeah. Like if people like, think about Varsha, for example, right? What are the two things that will like pop in their mind? For example, if I think about Steve Jobs, it's perfection, perseverance, right? So these words that are coming up in this exercise, that should be the theme of your social media profile. Like if I check out Peter's LinkedIn profile, for example, from every projects that he lists, from the bio, from the examples, I'll be like, wow, this guy really persevered. So that's the theme, that's the vibe I want to get, even if I don't know you. So for Vaishnavi, it's mentoring others, it's organizing things, it's breaking down complex tasks. But what does her LinkedIn profile say? Like, do I get the same words, same vibe from it? So that's the theme. So now, now kind of you can see, right, what is missing and where you need to go. So yeah, like for example, like what skills are missing. So now that from the earlier slide that I shared, that there will be some skills that you don't have right now, which is perfectly fine. And honestly, it's expected. Like if you know everything right now, if you already have everything, you want to do what's like your next goal or next objective, doesn't make sense at all, right? Because we are doing this to move to that next level. So obviously there will be some gaps. So list out those skills as well. Like, can any of you tell me one skill that you don't have today and you know about it? Maybe one or two things that you really, really want to learn and you know that it's needed from you. Anything. Coding. Okay. Again, this is something, I would say not holding back. Time management. Yes. Things, getting to know those stuff that you don't have is equally important at the other side of the column, like stuff that you do have, right? Fighting imposter syndrome. That's true. Confidence and discipline. So it will be, another column of your workbook that I really lack all of those, and you need this so that you can make a plan. You can figure out who can help, who can be my mentor, like who should I follow, who should I go talk to. So you can make a work back plan. Working quickly under stressful conditions. Yeah, I had the same thing. Dealing with perfection. Again, yep, Peter, totally agree. This is awesome. Yeah. So you have to be like, brutally honest with yourself. You are not trying to impress anybody here, but just figure out, what you do. And again, the last question was, which strengths and skills are going to be most helpful in achieving your next step? So if you want to targeting a bigger company, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc., what are those some of the skills that you need to make that, make the next jump? Or if you're looking for a promotion, if you're looking for new clients for your consultancy, whatever it is, where is that gap? Where is that gap? You need to, do you have an understanding? And sometimes I get answers like, I don't really know. And that's a perfectly okay answer as well, because you not need to know that you don't know. That's an important revelation, right? So that was my last question. Like, do you know, like, what strength do you need to make that next jump? Is it something that you already have, or is it something that you don't have? But that's okay. So in the interest of time, just looked at my clock. So, but anyway, so you guys get the hang of it, right? You confidence, leadership skill, good speaker like you. So like, nothing came for me overnight. As I said, that I started this journey at least 2-3 years back, if not more. Like I have been thinking about it for long, and I have practiced. When I started, wanted to do public speaking, I signed up for all kinds of random conferences, local, and back at that time, the conference didn't even, give me. Let me actually turn my video on. I think I'm done. Where is my? Yeah. All right, I'm back. So back at that time, actually, the conference didn't even sponsor my travel, right? Because I was nobody. So, but I sponsored myself because I needed that practice. So the more practice you do, the better you get at it. There is no magic potion. All right, so I'll go back to the chat window. Anything I can answer today?
Piyali, there was a question that was
Okay.
bumped from Ocean. So should one write blogs on their website, Own Made, or on popular sites like Medium? What do you think?
Great question. So what I would say, Ashin, is for me, what I did, I actually wrote it on LinkedIn and I shared that post on all of my other platforms. So basically, I wrote that actual blog post on LinkedIn. Then I went to Medium and I created that topic headline. And then I'm like, oh, I'm super passionate about this topic. And here is the post for you to go and check out my tips and tricks. So people would click that link and go to my blog. So you can select literally one central place and share that link everywhere around so that people can come to your central place. But that's a great question. Yes. Anything else? Personal website. It's not required, I would say, but you really have to know how to get the job done with LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn has all the potential, at least for the scope of us. Like we are into engineering, so most of us are looking for maybe like jump into a bigger companies, and every recruiter on earth, they live on LinkedIn. So it's good to LinkedIn is good to go, but you really have to know the tips and tricks. Complete your profile, write a very attractive, tagline. So if you go into my LinkedIn profile, you can see, like write down my name. I'm like product at Microsoft, diversity advocate, commit. So basically all the keywords that talk about my brands, those are all in the title. So you have to make that title work for you, the bio work for you, complete everything, upload your presentation and, upload your presentation. And then, if you have done any public speaking, that recording, so make it like 200% to fit for you. And then it's okay.
Awesome. And we are right at time, but this has been great participation and lots of awesome questions. You will be receiving an email with all of the resources we talked about today, the recording, to rewatch all of this great content and conversation. I suspect, Piyali, you're going to have lots of LinkedIn views checking out your how you've branded yourself, just as a point of reference. But really appreciate everyone joining and participating. That always makes these webinars more interactive and fun for everyone. So that was awesome to hear. And thank you so much, Piyali, for your time and all of these great tips. There's a lot of things that we can put into practice today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Love to be here. And please, send me a LinkedIn request, send me a question, message me that if you are struggling with something, if there is anything I can help you with. I'll share my contact details as well with Lauren and Paris so that you can, get all the links as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Well, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to seeing some awesome personal branding out there. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.